In this episode, I'm gonna create product repository and then I will implement unit of work in the repository manager. First of all, I'm gonna create the repository, product repository. So let's create a folder here, give it a name product, because I will be creating other repository and other repository, right? So that's why I'm keeping it in a separate folder. So for the product repository, under the product, let's create an interface, give it a name I product repository. Okay, you can select interface here, or we can update it here, right? So this is gonna be public interface, the product repository. The first property is gonna be, oops, what happened? Product, which is a type from repository.models, right? And give it a name like add product. Okay, so this will take product as a parameter and give this name as a product. So what is happening here? Let's product type, because it is little confused here, because this is name is repository.product. Okay, then this is under repository.models. So what is the problem there? Is it because of this? Okay. So it was getting confusion here, right? So let's give it a like products here, and this is coming from repository under repository.models, and model has a product, right? So that model has a product, but the repository.product, it is getting confusion here. That's why I make it like products. Okay, that was easy. Then let's add update product. Okay, delete product, right? Then we got a couple of suggestions. That was pretty good. Then let's say we want to get like a list of products, right? Get all products. That is also good, right? Then what else? We can also get product, get product by ID, right? So we do not have the ID there, right? We have a GUID, because we are not gonna expose the ID to the client. So that's why we have only product GUID. So we will only expose the product GUID to the client, to the API, right? So that they can only call the product by ID, which is actually GUID. Okay, what else? And for the update product, we don't want to return anything, right? We don't want to return the product. When for delete, we don't want to return the product. So let's give them as a void type. Okay, now let's create the implementation class, which is gonna be product repository. Okay, public class implement I product repository, right? So it is complaining, so control dot implement interface, so it will add all the methods here. Okay, and the product is not, doesn't have the namespace. So again, same issue because of the namespace. Then add the using namespace here. That's good. Remove unnecessary namespaces similarly from here. Okay, so that is for add product. before that, what we need to do, we need to create a repository base. So let's create that repository base under the repository project and give it a name as repository base. Okay, so in the repository base we will be implementing the common methods here. So this is gonna be repository base type T, so it can be used for product or order or any other type, right? And that will be coming from the I repository base interface that will take type as a T as a type, where T is a class. Okay, now let's create that repository base, I mean I repository base. So let's add another interface and give the name as I repository base, add, make it public, and this will take T as a type. So here we are not going to use I enumerable, instead we are going to use I queryable, because we are not going to execute that query here, right? First of all is find all, it will return all the products, right? Similarly, I queryable, that is for find by condition, right? We might filter, right? We might send the filter, then we can filter it here. So here it will take expression func t bool condition, right? Or you can say expression, that's even better. Then T type will return create, right? So it will take T type entity and it will return the same type of entity. So void delete, so it will take T type entity, then delete, and it will not return anything. So void update, same as for update. Okay, so this is the interface. Now let's implement that. Okay, so now we have the implementation here. So what do we need? First of all, we need the private repository context, right? That is gonna be repository context, then constructor. So in the constructor we're gonna pass repository context, which is repository context, right? So that is gonna be like this, dot repository context equal repository context. Since it is online code, right, we can write it in this syntax, or you can also use the double curly braces and add it there, it's up to you. So I find this is pretty simple for online code, one statement I would say. Okay, so then for the creating, so to create this we need to add, I mean first of all set, because we are passing as a with the type, right? Set, then add the entity here. Okay, once that is added, then return the entity. Okay, then for delete, For delete, what we are doing, we are simply setting the type, then remove the entity. That's it, right? Okay, find all. Okay, let's complete this one, update, because these are pretty similar. Repository context dot, I mean to say dot set type T, right? Then update the entity. Okay, we can also move these next to each other. Now find all. Find all is like we need to set the repository context with the type, right? Then we can execute like I'll show you in the implementation. And for this one, same way we can say repository context set type T, right? Oops. Where then expression. So these are all fine. Okay, that's good. Let's build it. So far so good. Now let's go to the product repository. Okay, here we have the add product. So what we can do, we can simply call the create. Okay, that is not coming because we need to implement the repository base with type of product. Okay, repository base type product, a repository. What is complaining? We have to implement a like constructor. Okay, so and the constructor we have to pass the repository context to the base class because it is expecting a repository context in the constructor. You see, this is the repository context in the constructor. So that is what we are passing here to the base class. This is the base class. Okay, that's good. So now we can use the create method and send the product, right? So whenever it will be called this method, then we can pass the product to the create method, and it will set the type T, which is our product type. This is the product type T, right? Then that's it, and it is also returning that entity. One thing, if you notice, we did not add here as like repository context dot shape changes, right? We could add this here, but we don't want to add it here. We want to, instead of calling this shape changes method in every method here, we can call that method from our unit of work, right? That is gonna be in the repository manager, which I will show you in a bit. So that's why I'm not gonna use this in this method, right? So I'm keeping it as a comment so that you can think about it. Why did not I'm not gonna use it, right? I will show you later in the repository manager. Okay, so then the product repository, the create is done. Then what? Then delete product, right? Same way we can delete the product, so we can call the delete product, it doesn't return anything, so we don't need to. Similarly, this is gonna be for the is update product, right? So since it is online statement, we can also simply use the update statement here, right? And okay, that's good, right? Now we need to worry about the create all products. So what we can do, we have a method called find all, right? Find all products. Is it find all products? Let's see what is it in the repository base. Find all, not find all products. Okay, so let's use that find all, because this is not a specific to product, it can be order also, right? So find all, then order by, I can use order by type, by order by extension method, by title, right? Then to list. Okay, so this is gonna be actually return type here. Okay, so in this case we are executing here, right? The toList method will execute the query, right? The find all, if you see find all, we did not execute, we simply set that repository context with the type, right? And then we use the order by clause here. Then we use the toList. So with this toList method, it will execute the query and it will return the data as I enumerable. Okay, since it is a one-line code, we can use this one-liner syntax. We do not need to use that return statement here. For this one, let's implement here first. What we want to do, return find by condition, because we now have a condition like product GUID, right? So what do we want to do? We want to say x dot product GUID equal product GUID, right? And then first or default, right? Since product GUID is a unique key, right? It's gonna be unique key, so it will return it will have either one row or zero, right? And from there we're gonna take the first or default, so it will take the first, the row if there's a row, or it will return null if there is nothing on that GUID. So it's a one-liner code, so we can write as it is. So it's pretty simple, right? The same way we can use the here okay, control build. So far so good. Now let's create the repository manager. Okay, so come over here, add a new class, interface, give it a name, repository manager. Okay, it's gonna be public interface repository manager. So this repository manager is responsible to provide the repository, right? So meaning it will return product repository whenever we are looking for the product repository, right? And we are giving it a name. So we only need the get method, we don't wanna set it anything here, right? So it's gonna be repository method. finally we are gonna have save method here, right? Save changes. I'll show you in a bit why I'm gonna use this. Then create a class, give it a name as repository manager, public, then implement iRepository manager. Okay, implement interface. So it has two property here. I need to implement one of them is like iProduct repository. It will return the product, right? So if I need to return the iProduct repository, right, so I need to have a like in my private variable, so private read only, so it's gonna be, first of all we need the repository context here, repository context, and give it a name as repository context, right? And I can use prefix as a underscore, right? Oops. Then I also need private read only lazy type I product repository. Okay, and in the constructor we are gonna get product repository context, right? So then repository context is gonna be repository context. Then what is gonna be product repository? It's gonna be new lazy iProduct repository, right? And initialize it here. Also I need to pass the repository context, because this repository, product repository, has a constructor that is looking for repository context. Okay, so once it is ready, then we can return the product repository dot value. So that value is actually the product repository. Okay, and this one, the changes, right? Save. So what we can do here, repository context dot save changes, meaning, so we are gonna use the product repository here. Then we can use all the methods we have available under this repository, like update, delete, get, whatever. We might have other repository here, order repository, order details, user repository, so many repositories, right? Once all of them is done, then we will call the save. Then it will save all the changes in one shot. So that is gonna be like unit of work. So the benefit of using unit of work is like either the whole transaction is gonna be successful or failure. It is not gonna be like something is successful and some of the transaction is not successful. So this will either save all the changes to the database, or if there is any issue, it will then roll back all the changes for that transaction. I hope this makes sense to you. Okay. In the next episode, I will create the service for this production repository. Okay. I hope you are enjoying this. If you face any issue during this episode or the previous or next episodes, please write your issue in the comment box. I will try to respond there. Okay. Please guys, if you like this tutorial and learn something from here, hit the like button and please subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much.